the age of 98. Renowned historian and Holocaust survivor dies age 98. Let's see.
Marian Turski, the Polish Jewish historian, journalist, and Auschwitz survivor who fought against Holocaust denial, has passed away at the age of 98. Marian Turski's most famous words and an ominous warning rang out in 2020. During that year's commemoration of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, he said that the German Nazi concentration and extermination camp, quote, did not fall from the sky. The Holocaust, he warned, started with minor acts of persecution and indifference, but would eventually cost the lives of around 6 million Jews. He was deported to Auschwitz as an 18-year-old and later survived a death march and transport to another concentration camp, Buchenwald. There, he was liberated by Allied forces. He went on to become a historian and journalist, taking part in Martin Luther King's 1965 Selma March against racial segregation in the American South, and continued to be involved in Holocaust remembrance. He lived to see the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz last month.
Yeah, he took part in the commemoration last month, yeah.
Where he was among the guests of honor.
His death was announced by the Polish weekly Polityka, where he worked as an editor for over 70 years, heading the history section of the magazine. Born Moshe Turbowicz on June 26, 1926 in Druskiniankai, present-day in Lithuania, to a Polish Jewish family, Turski experienced the horrors of the Nazis' genocidal regime firsthand. During World War II, the Nazis deported Turski and his family to the Łódź ghetto, established in central Poland by the German occupiers. Crammed with 210,000 Jewish people, it was the second largest ghetto in Nazi-occupied Europe after the Warsaw Ghetto. In 1944, he arrived at the G death camp in one of the last transports from the Łódź Ghetto. In January 1945, as Soviet forces advanced, Turski survived a death march from Auschwitz to Buchenwald concentration camp near Weimar, central Germany. 4 months later, he endured another march to Theresienstadt ghetto in German-occupied Czechoslovakia, where he was suffering from typhus when Soviet troops finally liberated him. Most of his family perished in the Holocaust. A witness to history. After the war, Turski settled in Warsaw and became deeply involved in journalism and historical research. From 1958, he led the historical department of Polityka, where he remained a prominent figure till his death. In his mission as witness to history, Marian Turski traveled, or rather pilgrimaged, around the world for decades, Polityka wrote in its obituary. It added, "A man of extraordinary kindness, sensitivity, and warmth. He was always there. A life dedicated to remembering victims." Beyond journalism, Turski dedicated his life to Holocaust remembrance. So I don't think we have to read anymore. I thought I wanted to talk about this because I often quote this person. I often talk about this person's sort of worldview when it comes to things like genocide. I talk about genocide a lot on this channel. I talk about the history of genocide. I talk about various types of genocide that happened. And I think it is of most importance right now, the 11th commandment that he tried to spread far and wide. Do not be indifferent. Auschwitz did not fall from the sky. It happens, it just starts with this indifference. When discrimination is being implemented against certain groups, those discriminations start small. You might not even notice them. You might feel that it's okay, that it's not a big deal, that things really cannot go all that bad. And then it slowly escalates. And as we get indifferent, that group slowly is being prepared for extermination. And worse even, we are being prepared to become indifferent to that extermination. And I feel like the loss of this person is a big loss to the world. Like, the truth is that sooner or later we all die. Marian Turski was 98 years old, but it is a real shame that it seems like his message did not quite resonate enough with people to follow his plea not to be indifferent. We see far too much indifference in the world right now when it comes to suffering of people, when it comes to people being discriminated, bombed, murdered, and so on and so forth. We see far too much indifference, and I feel like we could all heed the words of Marian Turski, and like the I think even more important than the person himself is the message of not being indifferent. It's just that's the most important thing to me. Like not even like even if you don't know who this person was, even if you do not know anything about Marian Turski, I think I feel like if the message can live on, then it's all worth it. And I just don't know if that's the case. Let me read the chat a bit. I still quite don't get it. Is this the US just being bitchy about Ukraine being ex-Warsaw Pact, ex-Soviet Union Republic, or is just stupidity that being bred in the US during previous several decades? It's more than that. It's not stupidity or bitchiness. It's Trump wanting to move the United States away from international law order cooperation and trying to stabilize the world via a series of connections and, relations, and trying to replace that with the United States being effectively an empire. Might makes right. We are an empire. We will get what we want, and we will get the best deal, and we will screw over anyone that gets in our way. That's basically what is happening. That's basically what is happening. It's not even America first. It's America empire. It's like Trump is screwing over Americans domestically. Can you really say America first when RFK is at the head of American healthcare? Is that really the America first policy? Like having the biggest lunatic in charge of the American healthcare. I would not say that it's America first policy personally. It's a big world. There are people that probably never knew he even existed. Yeah, but I would hope that they would at least know about the message of do not be indifferent. And the world is indifferent, cowering and conceding to internal far right interests, not addressing the refugee crisis, not willing to commit in Ukraine, and even worse, yep, yep, all that is true, unfortunately. Who knows? I don't know who's Marian Turski, but he sounds based. Yeah, he was great. Was hoping I would be able to talk to him, but I guess that will not happen. Even though I've met him a few times, I never had the opportunity to talk to him, which is a shame. What I presume is Nie bądź obojętny needs an English translation. It means do not be indifferent. It just means do not be indifferent. Yeah, that's what America first is. Fascist populism is never honest. They say one thing and always do the yeah. Yeah, there is a book. There is a book. It's called Do Not Be Indifferent. Yeah, that's right. It's a collection of his speeches actually. I have that book. I have it out back the house. I bought this book. I have not read the whole thing. It's actually not just in Polish. It's written in both languages. It's written in Polish as well as in English. It's a dual language book. It's written in both languages, English and Polish. It's divided. You have English and Polish in that one book, if we're talking about the same book. So yeah, so that's good. I just really wanted to talk about this person.